Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, Professor Saiful and fellow student. My name is Mugila Seri Suripto, and I'm one of student in Risk Management for Islamic Banking class. Today, I will present my video regarding assignment 1. Before we continue, let's take a look what is the text in assignment 1. Shall we? Okay. The text in assignment 1 is regarding risk-based financial statement analysis. Okay, based on the instruction, it is said that first, choose any Islamic bank of your choice. 2, download the latest financial statement or annual report from the banking portal. 3, calculate the financial ratio as shown in table 1 and show all the calculation. This is the final indicator. We need to derive the formulas and do the calculation and find the financial ratio of for each financial financial indicators. And then the last one, the 4, using the compute financial ratio, this financial ratio, provide an analysis of the banking information from risk outlook. That's the text of assignment 1. Okay, let's continue. Please allow me to share my answer regarding the assignment 1. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. Okay, this is my answer regarding assignment 1. Okay. First, okay, the test is we need to provide an analysis of the banking performance from risk outlook. Okay, my source my source is financial statement of Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad for the financial year ended 31st December in 2021. And the model I use to measure to make the analysis, I use Camel ratio. The Camel ratio stands for C for the capital, A for the asset quality, M for the management quality, E for the earning ability, L for the liquidity, and S for the sensitivity. Okay, Camel ratio is very common and widely used for all banks, including national and international. Okay. Okay. First, the first ratio is the capital. After I make some research by myself, I can derive from the finance indicator present in the table 1 in the assignment 1 test. I can derive 2 ratio is included in capital ratio in Camel ratio. The first one is the total capital ratio or the risk-weighted capital ratio. The formula is total capital divided by risk-weighted asset, and this number get from the financial statement of the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad for the year in 2021. The total capital is 8.7 and the risk-weighted asset is 47. So the financial ratio is 18.56%. And I believe this is a very good number, very good score, because it's above the minimum requirement in Basel III. The minimum requirement for the RWCR is 10.50%. So it's exit 8.06% from the minimum requirement in Basel III. And the next ratio is debt to equity ratio. The formula is the total liabilities divided by total equity. And the number I get from the financial statement is 73.7 divided by 6.4, and the financial ratio is 11.52 times. And I believe it's also is a very good number, very low. It's quite low for in the banking sector, because I believe in banking sector the number is around 20 times or 25 times. So Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad is quite low, because the debt to equity ratio is only 6.52 times. Okay, next we continue to the ratio of asset quality. And from the financial indicator, I can derive that there are two ratio represent the asset quality ratio in Camel models. The first one is financing loss coverage ratio, and the formula is the pre-tax income plus financing loss provision divided by net charge off. The pre-tax income is I get the number from the finance statement is the same as the profit before tax and zakat is 704.221 add by the financing loss provision. Financing loss provision, I get the number is 1,063,966 and divided by the net charge off. The charge off is the real money, the net money you will get from the bad debt account, from all the bad debt account. So the net charge off is the bad debt loan minus the real money you will get from the bad debt. So you will get the net bad debt. That's number is 190,738, and the financial ratio is 9.27 times. I don't know this is good or not, but I believe this is quite good because they have reserved almost 10 times from 10 times coverage ratio for the expected financing loss. I think it's quite good. I think it's quite good because it's 10 times. And then the next ratio is tawaruk asset to total asset. So the formula is the tawaruk asset divided by the total asset. And from the finance statement, we get tawaruk asset is 53.4 and the total asset is 80.1. And we get the financial ratio is 66.72%. I think almost 2/3 of the asset is in tower contract. I don't know this is good or bad, but I believe the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad should what we call it should mitigate the asset by separate. So divided the asset into smaller percentage. So there's no one asset is bigger than other asset. So they need to make it a more smaller for every asset, because if we only put one in one asset and the one asset is bigger enough, and if the asset is declining, so it will be effect to the bank revenue, effect to the bank health. So it's not quite help if almost 2 or 3 times of the asset is concentrated in one single asset. Okay, next ratio is the management quality, and from the finance indicator present in table 1 in assignment 1, I can conclude that there are 2 ratio represent the management quality in Camel's model. The first one is return on equity. The formula is net profit after tax, or in the financial statement of Bank Islam is net profit after tax and zakat, I believe. Profit after tax and zakat. And the number is 534,305 ringgit Malaysia, divided by the equity capital. And equity capital, the number is $6,316,938 ringgit Malaysia. And after that, we divided the number. The financial ratio is 8.35%. Okay, this number roughly I think is quite good, because if I'm not mistaken, I do searching in the Google and find out about, there's an article from Bank Negara Malaysia in February. They said that the inflation rate in Malaysia is only in 2021 is around 2.5%. So if you get the return on equity of 8.35%, I think it's quite nice, because it's exceeded inflation rate in your country is around 3 times above your inflation rate in your country. I think it's quite good, because it reflects that if you have got money, if you invest in Bank of Islam Malaysia Berhad, you will get 8.35% as a return, and it's above the inflation rate. So you get extra money because it's above the extra money above the inflation rate. Okay, the next ratio is the equity capital to total asset. Then the formula is equity capital divided by the total asset. As I mentioned previous, the equity capital is 6.4 million, and then the total asset is 80.1 million. So the financial ratio is 7.78%. Okay, so I think it's reflect that this number 7.98% is reflect. It's like you will get 80%. You will get 80 million asset by managing only 6 million equity. So it's quite good, I think, because you only have 6 million as your equity, but you have in total asset is 80. It's like I don't know, maybe it's like 12 times your equity. You get asset 12 times your equity. So I think it's a very good number for the owner, for the stakeholder, of course, because the $1 of they have, it will become $12 in assets. Okay, so for the management quality, I think the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad is their performance quite good, because type 1 return on equity is exceed the inflation rate, and the equity capital it's giving the stakeholder 12 times of their money. Okay, the next ratio is earning ability, and the ratio in financial indicator represent the earning ability income model is return on asset and cost to income. Okay, return on asset, the formula of return on asset is net profit after tax divided by the asset. We already have the number in our previous ratio, and we get the financial ratio is 0.67%. And also the cost to income formula is operating cost divided by the operating income. And we get the number from the financial statement. The operating cost is 1.2 and the operating income is 1.9. And we get financial ratio of 62.99%. Okay, looking this ratio, I believe Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad is their performance is unsatisfactory, quite poor, I believe, because the return on asset is very low. It's quite low. It's below 1%. And the cost to income is very high, because it's almost 2 per third of from their from their income, from their money, from their income. And if we look for the other ratio, we can understand why Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad has a very high cost to income and very low return on asset, because they have their deposits are dominated by the term deposit. It's almost 2/3 of their deposit is supplied by the term deposit, and we know the term deposit is higher, is very highly cost. If we compare to the CASA, the saving and the demand deposit. Okay, let me show you. Sorry, this one. The CASA to total deposit ratio in Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad is only 35%. So we can indicate that the other 65%, or the 2/3 of the deposit, is supplied by the term deposit, and we know that the term deposit is highly cost, is higher cost than the CASA, the saving deposit and demand deposit. That's why the cost to income is quite high, and the return on asset is quite low, it's less than 1%. So I think for a ratio of earning ability, Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad is not doing quite well. Their performance is quite poor. Okay, next. The last two ratio from Camel's model is liquidity and sensitivity. For the liquidity ratio, we have two ratio that derive from the investment indicator that include in the liquidity ratio. There are first, the financing to fund ratio. The formula is total outstanding financing portfolio divided by the total deposit. From the financial statement, we get the total outstanding financing is 59.2 and the total deposit 57.3. So the financial ratio is 103.28%. Okay, this is quite risky because the financing portfolio exceeded more than 100% from the deposit, from the total deposit. It's quite tricky. It should be so. I think the management of the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad should increase the deposit or lower their financing portfolio. So the financing to financial should be below 100%. That's the good bank, I believe, from my perspective. Okay, and then the next ratio is the high quality liquid asset, or the HQLA. Okay, the divided by total asset ratio. Okay, the formula is the HQLA divided by total asset. From the final statement, we get that HQLA, or the cash to fund ratio, is 5.2 and the total is 80.1, and the financial ratio is 6.52%. Okay, this number is also quite low, but I think it's common. It's probably they only save maybe 5% for the liquid asset, but very high liquid asset for to maintain the cash ratio in the bank, because every day, of course, because every day the bank are facing the risk of the liquidation risk for having the customer are taking away their money from the saving account or from the demand account. So they need to preserve maybe minimum of 5% of their cash in cash ratio to prevent that, to preserve and to maintain the, no, sorry, not maintain, to service the customer who wants to take their money from the bank daily in their daily activity. They need the money for their daily activity. I think this number is okay. It's quite good, 6.52%. Okay. The last model in CAMELS is sensitivity ratio. There are two ratio represent this ratio, this sensitivity ratio. The first one is gross impaired financing. The formula is amount outstanding of gross impaired financing divided by total outstanding financing portfolio. From the financial statement, we get that the outstanding of gross impaired financing is around 568,383, and the total outstanding of financing profile is 59.2 million. So the financial ratio is less than 1%, is around 0.96%. Oh, and I believe this is a very good performance performed by the Bank Islam Malaysia, because they only had less 1% of gross impaired financing. This is quite satisfying, quite outstanding, quite good, quite very good for the Bank Islam of Malaysia Benhart. And the next ratio is the CASA to total deposit ratio. The formula is saving deposit plus demand deposit divided by total deposit. From the finance statement, we get saving deposit is 7.2 plus demand deposit 12.9 divided by the total deposit of 57.3, and we get the financial ratio of 35.19%. Like I said, mentioned previous, the CASA deposits is only 35%. This is the less expensive cost of fund, and that's why the other 65% is supply the money deposit in Bank Islam of Malaysia Benhart is supplied by 65% of term deposit, which is expensive. This is highly cost of fund. This is highly cost of deposit fund. That's why the return of asset and the cost to income is not very good. It's not good for the Bank Islam Malaysia Benhart. That's the ratio and the formula, and how I do the calculation, and what is the financial ratio from all the financial indicators stated in the table 1 in the assignment 1. Okay. After we do the ratio, after we do the calculation and find out the financial ratio of each financial indicator, I can conclude, I derive the conclusion from all the ratio that I get 3 conclusions. The first one is, by using the CAMEL ratio standard, Bank Islam Malaysia Benhart for the period of December 31st, 2021 has managed financing quite well. Why? Because this can be seen from the total capital ratio, the risk weight capital ratio of 18.56%, which is significantly higher than the minimum requirement of Basel III of 10.5%. Additionally, the financing loan cost ratio reached almost 10 times, or exactly that, or the exact number is 9.27 times, and gross impaired financing was quite low at 0.96%. Sorry. And the second conclusion that, however, the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad faced liquidity risk through the period ending December 21st, 2021. The financing to fund ratio is above 100%, coming in at 103.28%, and the value of the CASA deposit, which is from the finance statement, is 20.1 billion ringgit Malaysia, is higher than the available high quality liquid asset, which are only 5.2 billion ringgit Malaysia. So if somehow every customer of the CASA deposit, the saving and the demand deposit, are taking their money from the bank, so the bank will need to supply. We need to supply 20.1 billion ringgit Malaysia, but however they only have 5.2, so they need to find another 15 billion. The bank will be rushed. If this happen, the bank will be rushed. Okay, but I hope they will not simultaneously and all the customer take away the money. All the CASA customer take all the 20 billion money from this bank. So, but this is the risky. If that happen, then the bank will be facing liquidity risk. Okay, and the last conclusion is other than that, the performance of earning ability is unsatisfactory. Why? Because due to a relatively low return on asset of 0.67% and a relatively high cost to income ratio of 62.99%. One of the factors that caused this to occur is the fact that high cost term deposit dominate the total deposit of the Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad in the period of December 31st, 2021, which is about 65% of the total deposit. Okay, Professor Saiful and fellow student, that is my presentation, my answer regarding the SMI risk-based analysis. I hope you like my presentation. If you like my presentation, please like and share. If you have something in common to say to me, please comment and please give me a feedback, and I will try to replay the comment. Okay, thank you, Professor, for this opportunity to give my answer regarding S1. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye.